Requesting an EHC needs assessment. This video will cover ways to make a request, the legal test to assess, meeting the legal test, evidence for a request. An EHC needs assessment request is made directly to the local authority. The Special Educational Needs Statutory Assessment and Provision Team, or SENSAP, manage EHC needs assessment requests on behalf of Leeds City Council. Ways to request an EHC needs assessment: completing an online application, sending a letter, submitting information as part of an application from a school, college, or other professional. If you would like to complete the Leeds online application form, please visit www.leeds.gov.uk and put EHCP in the search bar. If you would like to discuss an alternative application format or wish to send a letter, you can contact the SENSAP team by emailing sensap@leeds.gov.uk or calling 0113 376 0062. If a school or professional makes the initial request for an EHC needs assessment and you weren't involved, the local authority must still contact you to hear your views and gather your information and evidence. The legal test to assess. When the local authority receives a request for an EHC needs assessment, they must supply a legal test from the Children and Families Act 2014 to help them decide whether the child or young person may need extra support through an EHCP.
The test sets out that the local authority must secure an EHC needs assessment for the child or young person if, after having regard to any views expressed and evidence submitted under subsection 7, the authority is of the opinion that
the child or young person has or may have special educational needs, and it may be necessary for special educational provision to be made for the child or young person in accordance with an EHC plan. Part 3, Section 36(8). It is helpful to keep this test in mind when making your request and gathering evidence to support it. The following slides will provide our advice on thinking about and answering both parts of the test. Part A of the legal test. To meet the first part of the test, we suggest describing any special educational needs your child or young person has or may have, providing examples. Think about the things they find difficult at home, in school, or in other settings. Try to describe what you see, how they behave, how they learn, how they communicate, and how they manage day-to-day tasks. You can include examples of times when they have struggled or have needed extra help.
you could consider what support is already in place and whether it is helping, what professionals have said about your child's needs, any goals or aspirations for your child's development and learning, how their needs affect their ability to access education compared to peers of the same age. Our video on the broad areas of need explains the main types of SEND. It can support you in understanding and organising the information about your child's needs.
Part B of the legal test. To meet the second part of the test, explain why you believe an EHCP is needed and provide evidence if you can. The reasons why a child or young person may need an EHCP will depend on their individual needs and circumstances. You do not have to prove that an EHCP is needed in the request, but the information and evidence that you include should help to show why one may be necessary.
EHCPs are for those who need more support than a mainstream school or college can reasonably provide through usual SEND support and the graduated approach.
It may be that they are not making expected progress despite receiving targeted SEND support. They are unable to access their learning offer and/or environment. There are complex communication or interaction needs. The setting cannot meet all of the needs without more support from the local authority. A specialist setting may be needed. More time in education or training is needed to reach their outcomes. A new phase of education is coming up and they would find this transition difficult. An assessment of need may be the only way to fully understand the needs and support required. Evidence. After explaining why your child may need an EHCP, make sure you include evidence to support what you have said. Clear evidence about what support your child may need and why will help the local authority to understand and consider your request. The SEND Code of Practice states that the LA should take into account a wide range of evidence to make their decision and pay particular attention to these areas: a child or young person's attainment, development, and rate of progress, information about their special educational needs and disabilities, actions already taken to meet their needs, if progress is a result of input and support over and above that usually provided, information about their health, physical, emotional, and social development needs, For young people aged over 18, whether they require additional time to complete their education or training. Supporting evidence could include your own observations, school reports, support plans or letters, health or professional letters and reports that include advice or assessment, transport or assistance awards, evidence or observations from other settings such as groups and after-school clubs, and your child's voice if appropriate. Once a request has been submitted, SENSAP will write to you to let you know their decision on whether they have agreed to carry out an EHC needs assessment. For more information on the stages of the EHCP process, please see our video on EHCP and the statutory process.
Further SEND information and advice on a wide range of topics is available on our website. Visit www.leadsendias.co.uk. On social media, search Lead Sendias. Other sources of information, advice and support. Contact for families with disabled children, www.contact.org.uk. Independent provider of special educational advice, also known as EHC, www.ipc.org.uk. Leeds Local Offer, www.leedslocaloffer.org.uk. West Yorkshire Children's Additional Needs Network, www.westyorkshirecan.org. Council for Disabled Children, www.councilfordisabledchildren.org.uk. Other videos in this series include draft EHCPs and final plans and EHCP reviews.